Hello, I'm Ogden Coolside. I am a bookseller by trade and author by happenstance. I oddly find myself embroiled in a controversy over the founding of America. It came to pass when I began to study Benjamin Franklin, a most complex and fascinating individual. I believe his greatest invention has been overlooked, a system of freedom. Franklin was the super genius of the Founding Fathers. One historian thought he was the smartest by a factor of 10. Throughout his life, he pondered two questions. First, what are the best conditions a people can create for their own governance? And second, once established, how can a society maintain those conditions? Come, let us see how Franklin came to understand a system of freedom. To answer Dr. Franklin's first question, what are the best conditions a people can create for their own governance, one must look to nature, where everything begins. Humans are unique in living nature. They are intelligent, and freedom only has meaning for intelligent life. Intelligent life has developed two rather important frameworks. The first I will call the marketplace, where all voluntary human interaction takes place. It is a singular innovation that happens naturally without need of invention. The second is government, a singular invention of intelligent life. As people began to form into groups, rules were devised for the common good. Now let's look at the concept of freedom. Most define it as, I can do anything I want. Franklin, however, knew far better. Let's call the vertical line the I can do anything I want line. The bottom value is 0 and the top value is infinity. Now let's determine where I can do anything I want takes place. It is where no government exists, living in nature. Unfortunately, this is a very inhospitable place. You are subject to the arbitrary power of nature. Here, life is short and brutal. This is why mankind began to band together and invent government to defend against the arbitrary power of nature. Forming groups made life easier. Now let's draw a horizontal line and call it the line of rules. To the left at 0, there are no rules, and to the far right are all rules. If you draw a descending line from infinity to all rules, you can see that individual action decreases as governmental rule increases. Government power often gets to a point where it controls everything. Here, there is no individual action. Here, people are subject to the complete arbitrary power of government. At the far left, very little overlap exists between the marketplace and government. At the far right, the government overlaps the marketplace to the point of obscuring it. Franklin knew that the ideal place was located somewhere in the middle. The ultimate goal for a society is to exist inside the rectangle, between the arbitrary power of nature and the arbitrary power of government. Once there, how can a society stay within the box? Governments, like the societies they emerge from, are not static. They continually evolve. Unfortunately, they always evolve toward absolute arbitrary power. Just as a factory might produce gizmos and widgets, a government produces laws and regulations. As it evolves to meet changing circumstances, a government continually produces more laws, more regulations, more rules. Rules typically take the form of prohibitions. A law is much more likely to say, no you can't, than yes you can. Here is the supreme irony. The very government that was instituted to protect individuals from the arbitrary power of enemies and nature, over time itself becomes the arbitrary power in an individual's life. To understand why government cannot help but move toward arbitrary power, let's examine living nature and, by extension, human beings. Living nature, life, in all of its wondrous forms, can be explained by three rather simple concepts.
First, everything in living nature moves toward ease. When given the choice, the least effort is the best effort. Second, living nature is extremely competitive. Every species seeks sustenance. Need dictates action. Third, as the renowned ecologist Barry Commoner observed, there is no waste in nature. Competition and waste are connected. They are like the opposite ends of a seesaw. As competition increases, waste decreases. A perfect competitive system has no waste, and nature is a perfect competitive system. So let's apply these concepts: competition, waste, and ease to the frameworks created by intelligent life, the marketplace, and government. In the marketplace, everything moves to ease. Markets always look for the better way. Waste is unproductive and thus avoided, while competition keeps the marketplace healthy and vibrant. In short, the marketplace mimics nature. Government is different. It has no competition, which necessarily means it produces waste. The great physicist Richard Feynman observed that nobody has ever figured out the cause of government stupidity. In fact, Benjamin Franklin realized that government stupidity is the byproduct of a non-competitive system. Franklin understood that waste, or the absence of competition, leads directly to government's descent into arbitrary, unbridled power. How do we avoid this inevitability? That difficult question has befuddled mankind since the very invention of government. Let us see Franklin's solution. How can government stupidity, the state's inevitable move to arbitrary power, be curtailed? The simple answer is government must be kept limited. In a system of freedom, limited government is not a goal, it is a prerequisite. To keep government limited, mankind created what is known as a constitution. A constitution is a contract of sorts. Just as a legal contract spells out the obligations of the various parties, a constitution spells out the obligations a government has to its citizens, both current and future. The American Constitution is unique in how it divides government into 3 equal branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. We call this arrangement checks and balances. Franklin would have called it competition. In a system of freedom, the government's primary obligation to its citizens is the guarantee of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That means protecting the individual from enemies, both foreign and domestic, as well as keeping the marketplace as free and unfettered as possible. A free and unfettered marketplace allows the individual the greatest latitude in his pursuit of happiness. It also gives the individual the greatest opportunity to earn his sustenance. Franklin noted sustenance has its cost. You must feed, clothe, and house yourself, for example. In the marketplace, an individual exchanges his thoughts and labors for the goods and services that sustain him. A child is dependent on others for virtually every need. As the child matures, he becomes less and less dependent. There eventually comes a point when the child becomes independent. Now he too can trade his thoughts and labor in the marketplace. In a system of freedom, an individual is a success when he can sustain himself without being dependent on others. Achieving this success isn't just a worthy goal, it's a solemn obligation. It is an unwritten but indispensable pillar of the system. It is natural for individuals to form groups for social reasons and to achieve success in the marketplace. All too often, though, group identity supplants the primacy of the individual. This is a trap. In a system of freedom, the guarantee of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is a covenant with the individual, not with the group. Hence, there is only one group within the system, humankind. The obligations and duties required of each individual apply equally to everyone, regardless of group identification. Benjamin Franklin thought in terms of systems. He realized, as do all good scientists, that everything is a system. An atom is a system. A galaxy is a system. A wheel is a system. You and I are systems. A system, by definition, is a set of connected parts forming a complex whole. Every system is composed of elements arranged in a particular manner. The makeup and arrangement of elements in a system give meaning to the whole. Here are two implements for hitting a ball. Though the purpose is the same, the elements that comprise each system are quite different. They look different because the balls they are designed to hit and the manner in which the balls are to be hit are different. The elements that comprise any system exist for a purpose and must be there for the system to work properly. Freedom is a system. A free society does not occur magically or by happenstance. It has been carefully designed and is composed of essential elements.
An unfettered marketplace to mimic nature. Limited government to minimize waste. Individual responsibility to counteract a move to ease. All working together for the goal of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Though the United States is known as the land of the free, it has not always obeyed the rules that shape a system of freedom. The early acceptance of slavery, the ill treatment of native peoples, the foray into imperialism. These are all examples of what we now recognize to be foolish and indefensible actions. When the rules of a system of freedom are ignored, a country will act unwisely and do great harm to its people. Franklin knew this. As president of the first Abolition Society, he petitioned Congress to end slavery. He also warned future generations about the danger of straying from the rules that are necessary if a system of freedom is to endure. When the Constitutional Convention ended and the delegates were leaving Independence Hall for the last time, a woman recognized Franklin and called out, "Well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" Franklin replied, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it."